Okay, so good evening, Karen. How are you today? Is everything okay?
Hi, teacher. Good evening. Yes, teacher, I'm fine. Thank you. And you?
Great, Karen. Yes, I'm fine as well. Thank you. Let's start with you. All right, your partners are not here yet, but it's 49 already. So let's do what we do every beginning of the week. It means I'm going to assign this next unit, that is the last unit. All right, unit 4. Remember that today we have one, actually, well, it's a holiday, but we're going to use that day to have the conversations, right? But we don't have group classes. So this week, our group classes are on Monday, today, and Friday. And our conversations are going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? So we have 3 days of conversation, 2 days of group classes, and our last group class is going to be on Monday, the 7th, right? Next week. So it means that I'm also going to give you extra time to finish your assignments. Okay, so you're going to have until Monday, 11:59 p.m. to finish the 4th unit and to take the final exam. Okay, everything is going to be until that date, Monday the 7th. We are going to finish before, but you're going to have that extra day in case you have any questions, and if you want to take the test after the class on Monday, you can do it. All right, so let's assign it. If you have any questions so far, let me know, Karen, as I'm assigning this unit. Good. And it is going to be until Monday. It's exactly Monday, sorry, Monday the 7th. There you go. Okay, so we have plenty of time to finish this. 2 attempts plus the model. All right, so that is unit 4. Now I am going to assign the quiz. And this is the quiz over here. Let me see that I'm good here. Yes. Actually, yes, this is a mistake. I don't have to assign the quiz. Remember that we don't take the quiz in the 4th week.
Teacher?
Instead of that, we take the final test. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, yes, teacher.
yeah, I think my connection is a little bit unstable. I hope that it gets better. Can you sometime? Okay, so I was saying that we have the final exam, right? That involves everything. And it's going to be for all of you. And it will start not now. It will start on Friday the 4th, 6, even o'clock, not really after the, like, okay, 6 o'clock a.m. until Monday, 11:59 p.m. And for that, you have 60 minutes. All right. So that's it with Pearson, Karen. I don't know if you have any questions or if you are doubtful about something, let me know, please.
No, teacher. Everything is okay.
Okay, good. So let's go to the next part again. I'm just going to show Gradebook now to let you see how you're doing or your partners are doing. In general, I think you're doing good. All right, most of you. My only reminder for all of you, perhaps you're going to watch the class if you're not here, it's to pay attention to the assignments if you haven't completed them yet. Again, it's a good idea to work at least 15 minutes every day. All right, so this is how you generally are doing, and that's it on Pearson for me. It means that now we can go to the next lesson. Today we're also going to have, if I'm not wrong, a debate, as we did last Monday. If we all get to join the class, it's going to be great to have the debate. If not, at least we're going to try to cover then what we have to cover this week. And we're going to start by this, Karen, future in the past. Let's talk about this to start, please. What comes to your mind when you read this title, Karen? Future in the past. What structure, what examples, or what comes to your mind in any sense?
It's maybe when we talk about a possibility in the past that we wanted to do in the past, but we can't.
Very good. Or you can say even that we couldn't, right? It's perfect. It is very good. Something we wanted to do, but for a certain reason, we couldn't do it, right? Great. And what comes to your mind? If I ask you one example, Karen, of future in the past, what example can you give me? It can be a little bit tricky, but let's see what comes to your mind.
We use the past of will, would.
Good. That's one alternative. That is correct.
I only know about that.
And how do you think you can use that in one example? Try to tell me about something that you wanted to do in the past that you couldn't, and try to use would. There's one thing that you need with would that I'm going to show you, right? But try to do it first without knowing that rule. How would you formulate a sentence with would that works as future in the past?
I need the two tenses. I mean the future in the past and one sentence in the past.
It's possible, yes. Actually, what is going to be advisable, Karen, is to have two sentences. One in this tense, future in the past, and the other one in past, or the other one explaining the reason why it was not possible. So yes, actually, the best option is to have two ideas, and one of them can be in past.
Okay. I don't know. I would I would read horror books by my mother when I was I don't know, 8 years old, but my mother didn't let me.
Okay, good. I think the connection is very good. Just example, we're going to analyze the example. Also, the example is not bad, but what is that thing that you wanted to do? Remember that it has to be something kind of big, something that it was your future, okay? Something that you were planning for the future, but it was not possible. So one more time, what is the action that you wanted to do, but it was not possible?
Okay. I would I don't know, I would travel to Colombia, but I couldn't.
It's very good. And also the reason that you gave me before, it is very good. Okay, my mother didn't let me. It's perfect. But I couldn't. It's also perfect. And this is good. Okay, this is better with would. The other example was also good, Karen, but would actually is one alternative, and you don't use would as often as you use the other structure in the past that you're going to learn now. All right, why? Because to use would, you always use one expression at the beginning, like I thought or I didn't think. Okay, you have to say that at the beginning. If not, it is not going to be correct because the structure is a little bit different. So you have to say, I thought I would travel to Colombia, but I couldn't. I thought that I would be a doctor, but my mother didn't let me, right? I didn't think, you can do that in the opposite way, right? I didn't think I would be, I don't know, right, a teacher, but, right, my mind changed. So I am a teacher now, right? So you can play with the words, you can play with expressions, but to use would, you have to say, I thought, I didn't think. And there are other expressions as well, but you have to use one expression before that one. All right, but good. Having that in mind, Karen, let's go then to the lesson itself. we are going to read these two ideas, and these are the two ways of using future in the past. Let's read them, please, Karen.
Alright, I was going to study law, but my parents took me out of it. I thought I would move to Paris. It never happened, though.
Correct, though. Good. So as you can see, these are the two ways that you have to use future in the past. This is the most common and the better way. Okay, I was going to. It means be going to in past. And the second way is would, as you said very well. But as you can see here, you have to use one expression before would, because if you only say would without I thought, it sounds incomplete. All right, you always say something at least for future in the past. So again, what happened? How can you explain number one, Karen, using other words? You can explain it in the way that you did at the beginning, but how can you explain number one?
I can say the second sentence that the reason that I didn't study law in the first part, or I need to follow the structure.
Yes, actually, instead of like restating the sentence, you can only explain what is happening in this sentence. For example, what is this?
Oh.
Is this a present plan? Is this a future plan? Is this a past plan? But what happened? Okay, so how can you interpret number one?
Okay. Oh, well, that person were going to study law, but in the past, this was a dream or a plan that this person had, but now this person are not study law because his or her parents didn't want in the past.
Good, great. I believe that that's a great explanation, that it's explaining everything in detail. Just be careful with one detail. All right, you said a person were going to and a person are, right? But remember, if you say person, one person, that's going to be singular. So the person was going to study and the person is, right? Something. Okay, just that. Good. Everything is great. That's correct. And in number two, it's the same, right? I thought I would move to Paris, right? Remember that the stress in Paris is in the first part, right? Paris, that's going to be in Spanish, right? Or in French, but in English, it's going to be like Paris. So it was a plan, it was an expectation, it was a dream, but it was not possible, right? So the second thing that we're going to do here, Karen, how can you do the same? How can you say the same, but exchange the structures, Karen? In number one, use would, and number two, use be going to in past. So how would it be? You only have to change the structures. How do you use would in number one?
Okay, in number one is like I thought I would study law, and the second part is the same.
Yes, you can keep it in the same way. This is a part that can change in many ways. So now you can keep it the same because the idea is contrast. But is contrast, though is contrast. So as long as you have but, though, however, it is correct. Whatever you have after the sentence and it's a contrast, it is going to be correct.
Okay, but my parents took me out of it. And the second one is I was going to move to Paris. And I need a sentence that, like the first one, like but, to connect the first sentence with the second.
It can be just like this, because as you're using though, actually, it's better if you use a period or a semicolon.
Okay. Okay.
All right, and then you can. Yes, go ahead.
It never happened. Oh.
Though, exactly. Good. Only one detail. Read one more time, please. One more time. How do you change only until this part? How do you use here be going to in past? Only one more time, please, get it.
I was going to move to Paris.
Exactly. To Paris, right? To Paris. Good. I just heard that you said I was be going to, right? But no, I think you did it correctly. It is good. I was going to move to Paris. It never happened though. All right. So I'm going to teach you how to use this though. Don't worry, because we're going to learn the structure but, and we're going to learn the structure though. But though it's the same as however. Though shows contrast, but it has to be at the end with a comma. All right, and we're going to see that structure because I'm going to show you that so that you can write examples. That was the introduction. Let's read the usage, please, Gary.
When you had a plan, expectation, or something was possible, but because of certain circumstances, it couldn't happen, you use the future in the past.
Exactly, right? So we're talking about plans, expectations, dreams, something that you wanted to be true, but because of certain circumstances, because someone didn't let you, because of life, right? It couldn't happen. So it is future in the past. Okay, so plans, expectations, or something was possible. Let's keep going. These are examples. We know the examples, but to practice, please, Karen, let's read these two examples over here.
I was going to have a party, but nobody could come. She was going to stay at home. However, her friends called her to go out.
Good. So we always have contrast, right? I was going to have a party, comma, but. She was going to stay at home, semicolon, however, right? And remember that they are the same. And here the only difference is that if you use a fanboy, you have to use a comma. If you use a transitional word, you have to use semicolon and a comma after that, right? But both have two complete ideas and both have the same idea of contrast. All right, and as you can see, it's very common to use be going to in past. I was going to have a party. She was going to stay at home. All right, and again, those are only some examples. Let's keep going. This is the second part of the explanation. Actually, I'm going to read this. It says, it's possible to use the future in the past for plans that happened, but it's not as common as when it didn't happen. Okay, so as you can see here, these are examples for plans that didn't happen. I was going to have a party, but nobody could come. She was going to stay at home. However, her friends called her to go out. But this part is telling you that sometimes you can use the past in the future, or sorry, future in the past, to talk about things that happened. For example, when you tell a story, right, you can say, and she was going to visit her, I don't know, grandmother, when she suddenly saw something. And at the end, she got to visit her grandmother, but it was just some extra explanation. All right, but we have some examples for that one. Let's read this with you, please, Karen.
Tom always knew he would be a good student. Mary was very happy on Saturday morning. She was going to visit her friends that evening.
Correct, right? So if you analyze, these are examples of future in the past that happened. Okay, they happened. So Tom always knew he would be a good student, right? So as you can see, you always have a phrase before would and Karen. It can be I thought, I didn't think, or it can be new. I knew he would. I knew I would. And here the same. This is something that happened. Mary was very happy on Saturday morning. She was going to visit her friends that evening, right? And again, it's part of a story, like a narration, something that happened, but they are telling that with some narrative, right? With future in the past, a structure to make it more interesting. So here we're going to start working with examples. And before going to that part, I am going to share as always the link to work on this last week's examples. So as always, you can find this in the chat. There you go. Sorry, that's not the one. Okay, now you should be able to find it over there in the Zoom chat. And we're going to go there to write examples, but first we are going to read this explanation. Was and we're going to. Let's read that, please, Karen.
This form is used to describe a future plan or intention relative to the time of speaking. This form is often used when the anticipated event did not actually happen. It is formed with a subject plus was, were, I need to read plus a negative.
It's not necessary, but in this case, you can only interpret this as affirmative or negative.
Okay. Affirmative or negative plus going to plus base form of the verb plus complement.
Very good. So, as you can see, it's very common to use this with events that didn't happen. Okay, so the examples that you're going to think of now, Karen, are about things that didn't happen. And not only in first person, you can use third person. Okay, so in your examples, you're going to use different subjects. Okay, I, he, she, it, we, you, they. And you're going to play with affirmative and negative ideas, right? And one more time, you can say, I was going to be a doctor, but I changed my mind. I was not going to be a doctor, but my family convinced me to do it. All right, or to be one. All right, so that's one example. In an affirmative case, I was going to be a doctor, and in the negative case, I was not going to be a doctor. And in both cases, Karen, you need to show me, you need to imply that the opposite happened. So if I say I was going to be a doctor, it means that at the end, I never became a doctor. If I say I was not going to be a doctor, you have to show me that at the end, I got to be a doctor, right? So with the verb to be going to, you have to show me that it didn't happen. All right, so let's do it, please. We're going to work with 4 examples, 2 affirmative, 2 negative, 4 in total. Use different verbs, please, Karen, and try to use different subjects. Not only I, you can use third person, you can use plural, etc.
Okay.
All right, good. So let's work on that, please. For those 4 examples, we're going to have 4 minutes, or let's have it 5 directly. If you finish before the 5 minutes, you let me know. All right, so it's about to be the 5th minute. We're going to see how you're doing, and we continue working with would this time. Right, good, you're working the last one. So let's read what you got, please, Karen. We're going to see the details together. Your microphone is off now, Karen.
Okay. He was going to be an actor, but he realized that in this case is that it doesn't like or doesn't like it.
If this is something that he still doesn't like, actually you need to use the subject one more time. So you can say he realized that he doesn't like it.
Teacher, again. Please.
Yes, can you hear me now,
Yes.
Karen? Good. So yes, as you're saying, if you still believe or you want to say that he, now in the present, he still doesn't like it, then here to put emphasis into that change, because this is in past, and here you're mentioning something in a different tense. So it means that after that, you have to use a complete sentence. Okay, so he realized that he doesn't like it or that he didn't like it. One of those two. Okay, but you need the subject. He doesn't or he didn't. One of those two.
Okay. Okay. The second, they thought that they would go to a concert. The concert was canceled. So I don't know how to use the last word.
Good. Though actually is something that you're not going to find in Spanish, okay? Though doesn't exist, but though, if you want to look for a similarity, is the same as however. Okay, it has the same meaning as however, but you always use though at the end of the second sentence. Okay, so for example, you can say this, Karen. I'm going to tell you the basic example, right? I like blue, however, she likes red. Okay, very easy, right? I like blue, however, she likes red. But if you want to use though, you say, I like blue, she likes red, though. All right, but you have to separate that with period or semicolon. So one more time with punctuation this time. I like blue, semicolon, however, comma, she likes red. Or I like blue, period or semicolon, she likes red, comma, though, period. Okay, so the meaning is exactly the same. Or you can simply say, I like blue, comma, but she likes red. All of them have the same meaning. Okay, so the only thing you do, Karen, is you place though at the end with a comma, and it replaces but, and it replaces however. All right. Now this is good, but actually I'm taking a look at something, Karen, and there's something you're going to change, and you are going to check one more time, because afterwards we're going to work with would. In this case, the four examples were only with be going to. Okay, only with be going to, but you are using would, and it's great. But try to change it, please. Try to change those. Only use be going to, because after that, in the second part, you're going to write examples only using would. All right, so let's do it, please. Now, very quickly. I'm going to give you like, let's have 1 minute. Change number 2 and number 3, please, and we're going to check.
Okay,
All right, so again, if you're doing it, still do it, please. And again, this is just for practicing because the examples seem to be good. This is just to use be going to. Let's read it now. It works also. Yes, let's continue reading, please. And let's read directly number 2, number 3, and number 4.
Okay, they were going to the concert, but the concert was canceled. Everyone didn't think he was going to study medicine, but he did it. I wasn't going to play the guitar, but my parents took me. I don't know how to say, like, when your parents took somewhere to pass classes, specific classes like guitar classes.
Okay, you can say directly, yes, you can say that they register you, okay, they enrolled you, and to enroll is a very interesting verb. Okay, I'm going to write it here. Enroll means that they inscribe you, that they register you in that place. Okay, register, or they took you to some classes. You can also say that one as well. Okay, they took me to guitar classes or to pass guitar classes. Okay, but you can say enroll, register, or take, and you say X classes, or even better, course. Tell me, Karin?
When we talk with the word enroll, we need to put this word in the past, or we only use enroll?
You can use it in the past, enrolled me. It depends. If you conjugate here, you can say, but my parents made me enroll in a guitar class or in a conservatory or something like that. Okay, or in a guitar course. So you can say something like this. My parents made me enroll in a guitar course. Something like that. All right, or directly you can say enrolled me in a guitar class. All right. Or even better than class, as I said there, course is way better because well, it's about the structure. Okay, the course is the structure, the class is only one class. So if it was only one class or a couple of classes, just class. If it was 1 month or an entire program, it has to be course. All right, so those are the options. Also, you can say my parents registered me in a guitar course, or took me to a guitar class to learn, you can say, or to a guitar course to learn. Also, that works. The three of them over there have the same meaning in that case. All right.
Okay, teacher.
Good. Now, I was going to say something here. Yes, in this case, actually, this is not going to be the case. Why? Because remember, everyone is mainly for a positive meaning of something. When you want to say something like this, right, everyone didn't think, it's better if you say the negative form of that.
Nobody.
Good, that's one option. You have two options, but the best option is nobody thought, okay? Or no one. If you want to replace everyone with negative, no one. Okay, so no one, and instead of think, you say in affirmative, thought. Okay, so no one thought he was going to study medicine, but he did it. All right, it's better because it, as you can say, it synthesizes everything you want to say in less words, and grammatically speaking is better. All right, good. I think on my side, that's it. Everything else is working very good. Karen, I don't have any more observations. I don't know if you have any questions before going to the next part.
With the third sentence, we can use that way, say something at the beginning of the sentence, like no one thought, and then use be going to in the past.
You do that, but it's not obligatory. It's obligatory with would. With be going to is optional. Okay, you can say whatever you want before be going to. It is optional. If you only say this, for example, I'm going to show you, is correct. Okay, it is correct. He was going to study medicine, but he did it. Or sorry, he was not. Here, perhaps it's going to be in the negative way, right? No one thought he was going to study medicine, but he did it. Yes, now it makes sense. But yes, with be going to is optional, Karen. But with would is obligatory. That's the only difference.
Okay, teacher.
All right, good. So let's go to the next part. That was be going to for future in the past. Now we got some examples. We are going to read. Actually, I think we don't have the examples. Yes, we do. These are the examples. Let's read just to practice, please, Karen.
Mike was going to buy a new shirt, but he couldn't find one. Sorry, I interrupted. Were you going to say something? I was going to work out, but I decided to watch TV instead. I forgot she was going to visit us.
Great. And as you can see here, actually, number 2 and number 4, they are very interesting because they are about something that actually did happen, but it's not the idea of showing that, right? So, sorry, I interrupted. Were you going to say something? Right? And of course, you can still say something, but I don't know if you were going to say something. That's why from my perspective, I thought that I interrupted you. So you didn't say something when I thought that you were. All right. So it's a little bit confusing, but it's interesting. And it's a very interesting expression. Okay. Were you going to say something? You can say it now, please. Sorry, I didn't hear you. All right. Were you going to say something? And this one in number 4, I forgot she was going to visit us. So at the end, she visited you. All right. She visited us. But the only thing that happened is that I forgot that it was going to happen. But again, it's more common to use be going to in the past or future in the past for things that didn't happen. But as you can see in number 2 and number 4, you can also use it for things that happened in the way you expected. It's just that you thought that you interrupted, that you forgot, that you didn't take into account, etc. But they happened. Right? Just to take into account, that's very interesting to know. Now, this is the second part, Karen. This is would. So please, let's read this part with you. Would.
Okay. One, this form suggests an expectation or a possibility, but not necessarily a plan. It is often paired with verbs relating to the subject clause. In suspect, now, hope in the simple past. Would is the past tense of will. Formed use subject plus whole, new, etc. Plus subject plus would. Affirmative, negative plus base form of the verb plus complement.
Great. Thank you very much, Karen. Let's only repeat these 2 words, please. This is going to be more like A, so it's going to be pair, and this is like DT, right? So so it's going to be paired. Paired, exactly, right? I don't know if you've ever used a Bluetooth device in a car. All right, if you connect your device, your cell phone to the car, it says the devices have been paired. Okay, that's to be paired. They have been connected. Okay, paired, connected. And this word over here, I forgot actually which word I wanted to. Yes, these two verbs over here. How do you read them one more time?
Thought and new.
Good. Thought. Just in this one, you have to put emphasis in the T, because if not, this is going to be like the word that you learned a few minutes ago, right? Though is a contrast. Thought is the passive thing, right? So you have to read the T over here. One more time, please. Just this word.
Thought.
Thought, exactly. I thought you were here, though, right? So you can use both in one sentence, right? I called you because I needed you, period. I thought you were somewhere else. Thought, right? Thought and thought. Thought and thought. Just that one. That's my only thing over there, Karen. With that, I believe we are ready. Remember that would is more expectation and possibility more than a plan. Okay, so something that you expected to happen. It can be also related to some plans, but in the sense of expectation. So one more time, you can say, I thought I would do this. I would do that. He would help me, right? I thought he would help me out that day, but he didn't, right? I thought I would get a higher score in my test, but I just got a 70, right? I knew that she would, I didn't know that she would study medicine as I did, but she did, right? So it's something that you didn't think. So expectations, all right? Just expectations, Karen. So with that logic, please, let's do the same. Let's try to write 4 examples, but actually this is a little bit tricky. So in order to have some ideas, Karen, we are going to read these examples so that we see some possibilities. Let's read these examples, please.
Okay, I always thought I would live in Paris, but I still live in Edinburgh. I thought I would be late. I knew you would win. It I was hoping it would happen someday. I never did. So
Good. So this is interesting. Just this word, please, before the analysis, Karen. Remember that this is the verb. How do you read this word one more time?
life.
Life, right? It's the noun, but the
Live.
verb is live. Always live. If it's a verb, it's always going to be live, right? I still live, I lived, etc. Life is only when it's music, right? That it's live music, or when it's the noun, right? Life is beautiful, or you have a beautiful life, right? And that's with F. But if it's with V and it's after the subject, it means that it's always going to be live. All right, I live, I would live. In both cases, live. Just that one. And here, as you can see, you have many alternatives, Karen. It's really interesting to use would. I always thought I would live in Paris, but I still live in Edinburgh. I thought I would be late, but no, I arrived on time, right? I thought I would be late, but I arrived on time. Uh, Here you can add a different type of context, Karen. It can be even before, right? You can say you're always working so hard. You're always someone dedicated, responsible. I knew you would win, and you did, right? You won at the end. But you can give a context describing the person, that the person is responsible, dedicated, persistent, and so on and so forth. And that's why you knew that that person would win. And this is a very interesting expression. Okay, I was hoping, right? I was hoping it would happen someday. It never did, though. Right? So you can say, I was hoping that you would speak to me one day, but you never did, right? Or I was hoping it would not just happen. Let me think of a different verb just to finish this one, all right? You can say, I was hoping you would, all right? You would give the first step, right? But I had to be the one in doing it. All right. So anything that you expect, anything that it's a possibility for you can be with would. But as you can see, every time it has to be preceded by expressions like I thought, I knew, I was hoping, etc. All right. So I don't know if you have any questions. Also, you perhaps, Nazarena, we're covering now future in the past, and we're learning with would. And this is the structure with would. Any past idea with thought, think, know, and hope, plus the idea with would, about something that at the end didn't happen, like in this case, or something that happened, like in number 3. So let me know, please, if you have any questions, Karen, on your side or Nazarena.
No, teacher is fine.
Okay, good. So let's work, please, on examples one more time. 4 examples. All right, you can only work with affirmative examples, it doesn't matter, but try to use different verbs. At least you have 3, right? So try to work one example with think, one example with know, and one example with hope. All of them with would, and try to use different subjects. I, he, she, it, we, you, they. And also try to play with different verbs. All right. And if you can have an interesting thing to say at the end, like but or like though, do it as well. So please, we have 5 minutes. I'm copying and pasting the link into the chat one more time. It is over there. Let's do it, please. For example, using would and using different types of introductory phrases. We can start now, please. All right, so it's more than 5 minutes. Let's take a look at your examples. Remember that we already covered be going to in past. This is the second part of the presentation, that is would. And this works better when you have not a phrase, but an introductory idea at the beginning. That can be with think, with know, with hope. Those are the best options. So Karen, let's start with your examples, please. Let's read them out.
Okay. She knew her brother would has an accident with his bike one day, but it never happened. I think that. Oh, teacher, I read the number six. Six. Okay. Number five. He thought she would like him. She liked another guy though. They were hoping their teacher would suspend the test, but he didn't do it.
Thank you very much. Good. I think we have 3 so far, right? So he thought she would like him. Okay, she didn't like another. Oh, sorry, she liked another guy though. Good. It just in this one, remember, after would, after every model, you always need base form, right? It doesn't matter if it's she or he, right? So here it is going to be have. All right, so she knew her brother would have an accident with his bike one day, but it never happened. Good. And they were hoping their teacher would suspend the test, but he didn't do it. Great. So we have 3, I believe, Karen. We need one more. Try
Ah,
to work on one more,
really?
please. And so,
Oh,
yeah,
I
yes,
thought, okay, but we need to use think, know, and hope.
exactly. And you can repeat one.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you have to use those ones, but you can repeat one of them.
Okay, teacher. Mhm.
All right, good. Let's read now with you, please, Nazarena. Let's read your examples.
Okay. Um, she always said she would be sad with a bad scar. I was waiting for the dinner, but I didn't realize that the dinner would be ready so late. My mom knew my father would lose his keys.
Thank you very much, Nazarena. So good. We're only missing again with you, Nazarena, one example. But my only correction is going to be in this case, remember that we don't need to say the dinner or my dinner. You say directly dinner. Okay, so
Yeah.
I was waiting for dinner, right? So here I
Okay.
was waiting for dinner, but I didn't realize that instead of the dinner and instead of repeating everything, you can say directly it. Okay, I didn't realize that it would be ready so late. And here it is good. My mother knew my father would lose his keys. Good, interesting. So one more, please, Nazarena, and we check that one. Okay, you can use hope or you can use think in those examples. Okay, I thought, I knew, or she knew. Oh, sorry, a hope. I was hoping, you were hoping. All right. And now let's read your example, please, Karen, the last one.
Okay, I thought we would do 3 examples in English classes, but we need to do 4 examples.
Okay, good, great, right? You applied real life situations. Good, yes, I thought we would do the 3 examples, right? Work on 3 examples, but it's great. But we needed to do 4, right? And here, as you are mentioning examples, you can omit that one if you want, okay? Because we know that you're talking about examples. So you can
Okay.
leave it in 4, but that's all. So good. I don't know if you have any questions so far, Karen. Let me know, please. Any questions about be going to in past or would?
No, teacher.
All right, good. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to wait for Nazarena and we Good. Now, with that example should be enough, Nazarena. Only one example, that's number 4. But let's see if it's going to be correct, Nazarena. Read example number 4, please.
Okay. I was hoping to have more experience in my 20s, but I didn't know this would be more difficult.
Okay, good. Good. You're using was hoping in a different sentence, and your future in the past is in the second part, but it is correct because you're also using I didn't know. This would be more difficult. All right. Just for you to know, you can also use would after was hoping, right? So you can say I was hoping that I would have more experience in my 20s. Okay, that's something you can say. I was hoping that I would have more experience in my 20s, but I didn't know it would be so difficult, right? But in both cases, it is correct, Selena. Now, if you want, you can write a fifth example, but with those 4 is good for me. I don't know if you have any questions before going to the next part. Let me know, please.
No, thank you, teacher. Perfect.
Good. No, you're welcome. Thank you. Great. Now, let's go to the next part. We're about to finish, but now you're going to practice with the specific structures. And this is what I was telling you, Karen, before, that though is the same as but of course you change the punctuation marks that you use. So you can say future in the past plus comma but, and something happened. You can use future in the past but or semicolon, however, something or someone took me out of it, comma, though. Or you can say future in the past, comma, but, or semicolon, however, comma, or any idea which someone convinced me not to do it, comma, though. Or the last option, future in the past, but, semicolon, however, comma, I changed my mind, comma, though. Right? So you use but, or however, or though, and the meaning is the same. And here you have the 3 examples. We're going to read this with you, please. Nazarena, read the 3 examples down below, please.
Okay. I was going to have my restaurant, but my mother convinced me not to do it. I was going to have my restaurant, however, my mother convinced me not to do it. I was going to have my restaurant, my mother convinced me not to do it, Daft.
Great, thank you very much. Just this word, Nazarena, the first time I think it was good, just like E, so it's going to be convinced, convinced.
Convinced.
Great,
okay.
Thank you very much. So let's work please on the examples because you already know this. So please, Karen and Nazarena, at the beginning you can use be going to, or you can use I thought I would. It's up to you. But please, you're going to write just one example, and you're going to write the same example in the 3 ways. First, with but. Let me just put emphasis on that. The first example with comma but, the second example with semicolon, however, and the third example with comma, though at the end of the sentence. And please try to use 3 of these. Actually, they are not going to be the same because you're going to use different excuses, let's say, or different reasons. So you can say something happened in one example, someone took me out of it in the second example, and in the third one, you can say someone convinced me not to do it, or you can say I changed my mind. All right, so let's do it, please. 3 examples. If you write the same examples, better, like here, right? I'm going to have my restaurant, but the thing that you have to change, Karen and Nazarena, is the connector, but, however, and though at the end, and the reason why you didn't get to do it or that you got it at the end. Let me know, please, if you have any questions, girls.
Teacher, the first part of the sentence there is going to be the same, and the second part, well, we maintain the. For example, in the first sentence, we have my mother convinced me to not to do it, and the second and the third sentence are the same, but we only change but, however, so, right?
Correct. And also this one. So let me show you actually what I mean. It's going to be like this because it's close to that one. You're going to verify if that was correct in Karen, but I'm going to do it here. This is what you have to do. You have the three examples, right? Actually, it could be going to be copy and paste, right? Copy, paste, copy, paste. So first, the first example, yes, the first part is going to be the same. You change this part, and you also change the reason. Okay, so here my mother convinced me not to do is the first reason. Now, the second example that you have is the same in the first part. You change to however, and instead of my mother convinced me not to do it, here you're going to say, however, I changed my mind.
Okay.
That's going to be the other one. And here the same, right? You have, I was going to town. Then you have this part that is going to be different. Instead of that one, what can you say? You have the options. Something happened. Someone took me out of it. So you can use that one. And I can say in this case, my father took me out of it. And you finish with the, comma, the. Okay, so this is what you have to do. All right, good. Let's do it, please, then, Karen Nazarena. This is just copy paste. Okay, if you analyze this copy paste, but you change the second part. Okay, you only change the second part. The first part has to be the same. All right, let's do it, please. Let's have.
I have another question.
Yes, tell me.
What's the exactly meaning? I guess that take me out, it's a phrasal verb. Teacher, your microphone.
Yeah, so actually the three words are going to be like a phrasal verb to take someone out of something. Okay, take out of. So when you take someone out of something, it's the same as saying convinced someone not to do it. Okay, so if I take you out of being a doctor, out of the idea of being a doctor, it means that I'm convincing you not to be a doctor. If I take you out of going to the party, it means that I'm convincing you not to go to the party. Okay, so to take someone out of something means to convince that person not to do anything, all right, or the action that he or she wants to do.
Okay, teacher.
All right, good. Let's do it then, please. Let's have 2 minutes, 3 minutes maximum, and we check. Okay, 1 more minute, please, to finish the last details. Remember, the only thing you have to change is the connector, the contrast, and the second part of the sentence, right? Something happened, someone took me out of it, someone convinced me not to do it, I changed my mind. All right, so let's take a look at what you got. Again, with this, we're going to be finishing this lesson. I wanted to have a debate now, but it's only the two of you, so we're going to save the debate for Friday. Remember one more time, Nazarena, now that you are here, that this week you have 3 conversations with me, right? Tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, to replace the previous conversation that we didn't have, right? That was Thursday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have conversations. Please join at the time that you schedule your conversation on Thursday, or that you always schedule, so that we can have the conversation on Wednesday. All right, and for Thursday is, well, as you always do, you schedule and I join at that time. So I'm going to start with you as always, please, Karen. Let's read your 3 ideas with the 3 variations.
Okay, she was going to study in the United States, but she didn't have enough money to go. She was going to study in the United States. However, she didn't obtain the scholarship. She was going to study in the United States. Her mother convinced her not to do it, though.
Great, very good. Only one little detail. Everything is very good. Just with, however, remember, right, with the comma. That's the only thing. Okay, good. It's very good, Karen. The purpose of doing that is that you can remember and practice when to use commas, when to use semicolon, when to use period, and how to use but, however, and though. Okay, though is a special case, as I told you, but it's the same as but and however. That's it, Karen. Do you have any questions or any comments? Let me know, please.
No, teacher. Well, yes, with the example of Nazarena, but I think that you explained that.
Okay, yes, with those words, yes, I'm going to let you know. All right, good.
Okay.
Let's go then with you, Nazarena. Let's read your examples, please.
Okay, teacher, I was thinking that I have to change in every sentence, but well, I was going to have my restaurant. Nevertheless, my family talked with me to not to do it. I was going to have my restaurant. However, my family pointed out to me that it wasn't working. I was have my restaurant. My family pointed out to me that it wasn't working tough. Oh, sorry. My one T.
Okay, good, it's good. Yes, the main thing actually here, Nazarena, is that you only had to change the first part. Okay, this is the part that you had to change, and also, of course, this one. But I mean, changing your sentence, right? Because actually, this is the same sentence here, right? I was going to have my restaurant. You have to change this only once, and then you copy it and paste it, right? You can say, for example, I was going to go to the party. Okay, I was going to go to the party, and then you change the next part. All right, but anyway, let's check what you got. Oh, actually, yes, let's change. What can you say there in Nazarena? And you only copy and paste in number 6 and number 7. Okay, all right, good. And I'm going to copy and paste it. All right, over here, copy, paste, and over here, copy, paste. All right, good. Now, Good. Now here you have with but, it is good. Now this, when you say talk to me or talk with me, not to do it. So it's a possibility, but it's not the best option. And also remember that the negative of the infinitive is only not to do it. Okay, if you say to not to do it, it's not going to be good. It's only like, all right, talk with me not to do it. Now, the idea of this also is not good. Why? Because you can say, for example, something like this: talked with me or to me about the idea of not to do it. For example, that's one option. Or this is not an expression that you use in English. That's why instead of that one, you can use the expression that I gave you here. These are the two best options to say that, Nazarena. When your family took you out of it, it means that they talked to you and they convinced you not to do it. Or you can say directly, yes, you can say that one, or directly, someone convinced me not to do it. All right, because you can say here, but it's going to be longer. You can say, my family talked to me and convinced me not to do it. Right, that's
Okay.
another option, right? But it's not necessary. So let's do that one. You can say talked to me and convinced me not to do it.
not to do it.
Exactly. All right, that's one alternative. Here, I was going to open a bar. However, my family pointed out to me that it wasn't working. Good, but actually, instead of it wasn't working, because it's like wasn't working is like you already have your bar, Nazarena, and it's not working, right? But actually, you don't have your bar yet. It's better if you say it wasn't going to work. All right, you can say that one, because this is like a future in the past and future in the past. So again, you can say, I was going to open a restaurant or a bar. However, my family pointed out to me, this is a good expression, pointed out to me that it was not going to work. Okay, but remember, if you say wasn't working, it's like you already have your bar, but you don't have your bar yet. You didn't open a bar yet. You were going to do it, but at the end, you didn't. All right. And here I was going to open a bar. My family pointed out to me that here it is going to be the same, right? My family pointed out to me that it wasn't going to work though. All right. And with a period over there. Those would be, I don't know if you have any questions about those details, Nazarena. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, thank you so much. I understand now.
Good, you're welcome. And also, Nazarena, if you want to use, and perhaps this is the question that you mentioned, Karen, instead of however, you can replace this with nevertheless, okay? But it's the same in that case, nevertheless, but with the same punctuation rule. I was going to open a bar, semicolon, nevertheless, comma, my family pointed out to me that it wasn't going to work. Or instead of nevertheless, you can say nonetheless, that it's also the same, right? I was going to open a bar, semicolon, nonetheless, comma, my family pointed out that it was not going to work. And again, I'm going to write the three of them. All right, it can be nonetheless, it can be, what happened to my, give me a second. English, good. It can be nevertheless, or it can be however. All right. The translation, again, it's just very similar to the Spanish words that you have, like sin embargo, no obstante. All right. Those are the translations for those words. And you can use it for any kind of contrast that you have. All right. Nonetheless, nevertheless, however, but you always use, remember, two options with transition words: period, transition word, comma, or semicolon, transition word, comma. All right, those are the options that you got. So let me know, please, if you have any questions about that, Karen or Nazarena.
Teacher, we can use, for example, nonetheless, for example, I was going to open a bar, period, nonetheless, and we need to use a comma, or we can use this structure with a period, and then we use nonetheless or nevertheless or however.
You always use a comma after those words. So if you use, for example, here period instead of semicolon, you only start with capital letter, but you say nonetheless, comma, and then my family pointed out and blah, 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 right? But they always follow this part. They are not going to be at the end. The only one that is at the end is though. Nonetheless, nevertheless, and however are always at the beginning of the next idea, after a period or after a semicolon, and they are always followed by a comma. Okay, so nonetheless, comma, nevertheless, comma, however, comma, and the next idea. The only one that is not followed by a comma here is but. Or you can use remember instead of but. You can say yet. That has the same meaning. Okay, so all of those are only possibilities, but you have to use the same punctuation rules for but and yet, the same punctuation rule, only comma, for nonetheless, nevertheless, however, period or semicolon and comma, and for though, always at the end of the second sentence that is showing contrast. All right, I don't know if you have any more comments or doubts.
No, teacher.
Great. There you go then. I believe that we are ready then to finish this lesson, because it is about this, showing ideas in the past that didn't come true or that did come true, but the emphasis is that it was going to happen and something happened. Right? So that is actually the lesson. You have, as always, links to practice. Here you have only 2 links, but you can practice with those 2 links. And if you don't have any more questions about this lesson, we are going to finish it. And I'm going to show you just the introduction of what the next lesson is going to be. I'm not going to ask you about passive causative. I'm going to show you directly some of these examples. All right? And here are some. And for understanding this, Karen and Nazarena, my recommendation again is try not to translate. You have to try to understand just the way it is explained. Because if you try to translate, it is not going to work, due to the fact that we don't have the translation to Spanish. All right? For example, if you read this without reading the rest of the ideas, all right, it says, I had my house cleaned. Just read that, okay? Don't read the rest of the information. Got it? How can you interpret this idea? Don't read the rest of the information, just this one. I had my house cleaned. How can you interpret that idea?
Maybe that my house is clean.
Good. And if I ask you who is doing that action, who cleaned the house?
Maybe if I say this sentence, it may be me or someone else.
Okay, good. But what do you say? Do you believe is you or someone else? Well, what is the best option for you now?
Maybe me.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. The same for you. I'm going to go with Nazarena, Karen. Thank you. Nazarena, what about you? Again, don't read the rest of the information, just this. I had my house cleaned. How can you interpret this sentence? How can you say this in other words, Nazarena?
That the house is already clean. I think that someone clean for that person.
Okay, so here you're saying that there's another person that cleaned the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. And why? Why do you believe that another person cleaned the house? Just by reading this, remember, just reading this. What in this sentence make you say that someone else did it?
For the cleaned, that is like seems like an active, passive voice or something like that. That is talking about something on a specific. So I don't know.
Good. That's a good logic, actually, Nazarena. Thank you. If you have a verb that is followed by an object, and it's a verb in the past participle, it's very likely that it's passive voice. And actually, yes, here, this is passive. It's not, in fact, passive voice, but it's a type of passive that we call it the passive causative. And yes, as Nazarena said, it is going to be someone else that did it. All right. And again, it can be confusing because you have a verb, you have an object, and you have another verb, right? And that's why it can be confusing. Let me just tell you this one. So one more time. You have two verbs, but these two verbs are separated by an object. Okay, but if you see this means that you have the passive causative structure. And just as an introduction, that's actually going to be the answer, but you're going to learn how to do it. Let's read everything we have here. And this is going to be for you, please, Karen. Let's read this illustration.
If we say I cleaned my house, this means I cleaned it myself. If I paid someone to clean it, of course, I can say a cleaner cleaned my house. Another way is to use a causative construction. So I can also say I had my house cleaned. In this sentence, the important thing is that the house is now clean. We don't focus on who did the cleaning.
Exactly. Now, this is the passive causative structure, Karen and Nazarena. So every time you use have plus an object plus the verb in the past participle means that this is causative. And what is causative? To cause someone do something for you, right? If you remember the first lesson, it's very similar. I'm paying you so that you clean the house for me. And to say that in other words, I'm not saying the cleaner, I simply say, I had my house cleaned. I had my house painted. I had my project finished. And it means that you didn't do it. It means that you paid someone else to do that for you. Okay? And again, anytime you see the structure I or subject, have, object, and the verb in the past participle. All right, but again, this is the illustration to show you that if you try to translate this one, it is not going to make sense. All right, it is not going to make sense because the translation doesn't work here. You only need to understand that anytime you have this structure, it means that you are either paying someone, contracting someone, hiring someone, so that that person that is a professional can do something for you. But the main idea of this sentence is to show that you are the one causing that. You are the one paying to someone so that your house is cleaned, so that your house is painted, so that your clothes are dried, are ironed, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that you receive a service. And that's clarified with this structure. So this is just the introduction, show you what we're going to be learning on Friday. So one more time, remember, please, we have these 3 conversations, Friday for classes and Monday for the last exam. Remember that I already assigned everything on Pearson. You have until Monday, 11:59 p.m. to finish everything related to Pearson, the assignments and the final exam. So we are finishing here with this introduction. I don't know if you have any questions before finishing, girls. This is just to show you what we're going to do.
No, teacher.
No, teacher, it's fine.
Okay, good. So again, take a look. I'm showing you also this one so that you can go to Pearson. Explore, please, Pearson, because this is a lesson and sometimes it can be complicated. Be sure that you can go to the platform and you can start practicing this structure so that you don't get confused with the present perfect. Many people believe that this is present perfect or past perfect, right? You remember the past perfect? I had cleaned. So what is the difference between I had cleaned my house and I had my house cleaned? Is that I had cleaned my house is something that you did, that you had done, and I had my house cleaned. It means that you paid someone to clean the house for you. Okay, so be careful. Don't confuse the passive causative with the past perfect, right? Though, as always, please, I'm sending the link for today's class. You can find it over there now. And that's it for now. Thanks for being here. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow for the conversation, girls.
Thank you, teacher. Have a good night too. Bye,
Thank
teacher.
you.
Professor Emma.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, teacher. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.